The first party I was invited to was a 16 on one. I bought a friend of mine, my best friend I told you that would have, he was also in finance. He came with me. We were 17 and 18 in an 18 on one gangbang.
Wow.
Right? Now, I get there, I'm seeing 4 or 5 of our managing directors in line, the line that circled around the room.
Holy shit.
And everybody was waiting their turn. Now, it was so funny because everybody was butt naked, right? The chick was in the middle of the room, the line circled the walls, and then ended with her in the middle of the room.
And is she being paid for this, or is
no,
this
utterly recreational?
Wow, for the love of the game, amazing. Okay.
Well, and so these are some of the fun things that were available to that type of recreational activity of brokers.
Right.
Now, there were other activities that would include going to the Hamptons or what have you. I never experienced that because I never hung with the guys that were making that kind of money. See what I'm saying? So the guys that I was with were the guys that were still grinding. You know what I'm saying? We weren't like, the blue bloods as of yet. But everybody was doing the finest of the finest, the sickiest of the icky.
And was this one of the first experiences like this that you'd been invited to? And was it just automatic to you? Like, yeah, that sounds like a good time.
Well, it wasn't automatic to me. No, it was something that I took to like a fish out of water, like a fish into water. You know what I'm saying? It was something but it was crazy because I met the first individual that pointed me in the direction that led to me getting into movies. There was a guy there that, that led me to magazines back when people look. This is like
the
last
game, yeah.
It's crazy because I speak of this, and it literally is last century. The fact, hardcore magazines is where I started out, and then that led to meeting a producer out of the Bronx.
Wait, so you would go shoot a porn scene, but it would just be photos?
Yeah, bro.
No video camera. Wow, that's interesting.
So Matt, so we're in a studio, a fully professional studio, right? And so it would be lit such as your studio is, and then of course a photographer. Problem is the magazine. Very few magazines had penetration photos, so you had to have. They wanted you to have an erection and keep it right at her mouth or right at the point of entry, but not in. You know what I'm saying? She could act like she was going to touch you, but she couldn't. So you had to be able to maintain the posture of an erection without actually any application thereof. Very, very difficult. And the thing is if you could do those, then you got the opportunity to do the magazines in which you could penetrate. That was another level. And then the next level was, could you do video? So when I met the person that gave me opportunity on video, I provided him magazines that showed me doing photos, the magazines, that showed I could do it. And then the same dude, I got into that was when I started doing some other professional work, putting in work professionally, no camera, so.
Escorting, type stuff.
Yeah.
How do you even get introduced to that?
Well, I mean, for hetero men, it's a very, very limited market because most of the market is for the other side, which I had no interest in the connection thereof was never, a part of my whole ethos, But, the same guy that introduced me to the magazine person, we used to do, he had a client, for instance, a perfect example, he had a client that would exploit some of his own borrowers, if you will. He was a New York guy, lower Manhattan type of guy, a guy that would wear a velour sweatsuit with a gold chain, silver hair.
Okay,
perfectly
you're painting the picture right now.
You know what I'm saying? A guy that could use words like mullion, eggplant, and you would not have a problem with it because it wasn't necessarily a racial statement. It wasn't a descriptive statement. But nonetheless, you wouldn't say anything to this guy. He was very wise.
Probably a lot of casual racism back then that hit differently than it would now, right?
It's regional. It's regional.
Right.
With the understanding that I'm a little bit older, so I remember when, certain words didn't have the same abrasive cachet. They were no less abrasive, but it wasn't something where you like. And there are certain people that could say whatever they wanted to your face, and it would be like, I'm good with that.
Wait, were you chosen at the gangbang just because they noticed that you were larger than the other guys?
No, you mean to be invited to the gangbang?
Oh no, afterwards. Like once you're there and you've got your clothes off, did somebody just spot you and say like, "Oh, you could do something in this business"?
It was funny because the broker that trained me started calling me Log Cabin. And once because here's the thing, when we were in the room, if you were in close proximity to someone, because I remember there's only one chick and there's guys lying around, gangbang. My eyes would not go below your nose. So everybody was, if you were next to me or adjacent to me, we were talking, we could hold a full conversation. I'm getting myself warmed up, you're maintaining yourself being warmed up, but our eyes would never go below our eyesight line. But if somebody across the room would have the peripheral, and so that was like, hey, they called me by my first name, but hey, Log Cabin, and I was like, ah, so that's what stuck. And the guy that was there, he was, that's how I got started,
Definitely. So, at what point do you move to LA at some point, or do you start shooting porn in New York?
All right. Oh man, shoot, man, we were like buccaneers, man. Like I got into a lot of fun. Like I was in a traveling troupe called the Gentle Giants, right? And this is going back. This was 95 through 98 when I moved to LA in 98. But the Gentle Giants, we would travel from New Hampshire, as far north as New Hampshire, to as far south as Virginia, to as hosting or being hosted at lifestyle events.
Right. And this isn't a paid opportunity. This is just for the love of the game.
No, I mean it was just recreational for us.
Right.
The thing is like at this point, it wasn't commercialized because if say a husband and wife in the lifestyle, if they were swingers, as you know, right? So say if they're swingers and they want to capture the moment with this is when people had the big shoulder mounted cameras, the big.
Right.
This is before the VX1, even the VX1000s. Before that,
guys want to see dudes with huge dicks fuck their wives, and then they want to make their own personal copy of it so they can relive this.
So they when they can watch it, and then the both of them get excited. They have a great time. Years later, they're like, let's look at the the night when, and that it's a cool thing. So we would travel up and down. Sometimes we were compensated, or we never had to pay for the accommodation.
Right.
And the parties would be like Friday night and Saturday night. And Friday night was great. Saturday night was better because you had people that were there Friday would come to the Saturday event, and the Saturday event would be twice as big as the Friday event. And I was a younger dude, so I had the resilience of a younger dude.
And this is an era where there's no pills.
No,
right?
no, there was no. I mean,
you're just all on your own, right?
No, you could do. I mean, well, it was fun.
Yeah,
it wasn't a pressurized situation that like a movie thing would be.
Right.
But yeah, it was before. It was before any of the
different era.
Yeah,
you had to really have it in you.
You had to
be
really want to do it. But like I said, it wasn't a commercialized environment.
It's just interesting because when I was sitting here having the same conversation with Dredd, and I realized he was in the lifestyle for many years before he realized that this was something that he could monetize.
Yeah.
He was just doing it for the love of the game, getting flown out to go work with somebody's wife off camera, just for fun.
Yeah.
Which if you didn't know that you can make money from it, then of course, sounds like a good time.
I was made very well aware of the money making. Now the swinger part of it, that was more recreation than trying to make a buck. But the other stuff that was happening, even the stuff that I'm sure that you talked about with Dredd, those paid gigs, those were like, the dude I was talking about in New York, he actually had circumstances that I can't even speak on. And in retrospect, it reminds me of some of the stuff that people are being accused of today. But there was a lot of stuff that was happening. In terms of sex for recreation, sex for commercialized sex and sex out of certain degrees of obligation. You know what I'm saying? That can or cannot be in one's best interest to speak on.
Right. Okay. I feel you.